so in this one, I feel the need to discuss something with Legends and how they're releasing units. Not free-to-play units, just overall units, and what they're doing, what they've, at this rate, excluded from 2023. It seems it's not even gonna happen anymore, which is, I mean, they do this every year with, like, some kind of banner, just kind of dips in, like, some format we've been used to for that year, just kind of, like, leaves. We've had this with, what was it, the Legends Rising banners, we had this with, like, 999 Z-Power banners, we had this with, even prior to all those, the, tickets you could literally buy, and from there, you could buy the unit. You could literally buy a new unit, you know, get 600 Z-Power for them, and just straight out buy them. You didn't have to summon, you just bought them from the shop, and literally that was it. You could buy a ticket that could give you a, I believe it was a higher rate of the new unit from, like, these generic banners, and we don't have those. I mean, really, you look at it, and we can even go back to Ultra Gogeta Blue, where this more or less started this trend, because it has become a trend. You can literally notice the pattern of units dropping, and it's a little bit spooky. I don't know if it's necessarily a bad or good thing. I just feel like discussing this, the goods and bads of it, would be a interesting type of video. So to touch on what I'm really getting at here is premium banners. We have a lot of premium units that have dropped recently. You have an Ultra that dropped pretty recently, who's still, like, the best solo unit in the game. You have this LF who's up there. He's like 2 or 3. This unit's like top tier as hell. So you have one unit and then another unit that don't even go anywhere on similar tags. Obviously you could leader slot and, like, do all that funky stuff, but, like, units don't even that flow in any capacity of the world, but yet they're both top tier units, so they're meant for different teams, right? Maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. Obviously having team diversity is a positive more than a negative, but having a situation where units have to stray far and beyond to get this top tier, then this top tier. Maybe you're not meant to own all top tiers. I can't understand that logic. But there also is an argument that units that drop alongside of, you know, this LF or this Ultra, like previously, or post this unit, would be on their power level, if not a little bit worse than, but barely, just barely worse than, right? Then we go up and we see Ultra Hit, he's worse than 17, right? He's just straight out worse. Obviously, his output can't be a nice setting, but he doesn't even flow. I just feel this syndrome they've made of this unit. Like, you look at UGB and how he flows with Beast and Pan. It's literal perfect. You can't have more harmony in your life if you wanted to. Movies, you know, movies is a very diverse fucking tag, because all these motherfuckers from all these realms of just existence are gonna flow together. But then you have Hit, who has this blast stat, and 17 more or less wants to do blast because he gets cardio speed and stacks cardio speed per blast. That is 25k differential from his strike stat. It clearly shows that this unit does not want to be run alongside at least a full cohesive setup of 17. Even more so than that, you have units that came out after Hit, and it's like Goku, blast-based, Roshi, blast-based. Even prior to that, you have, I believe it was AGF, who's, like, solid enough, right? You have Jiren, who you build more blast-based, even though he could be strike-based. He could be either or, right? But you could build more blast-based. He is a range-type unit, so arguably you would just straight-up build him blast-based. And I don't know if this is good, because look at the premium factor, right? Number 1 unit. Top 3. Let's just say top 3 for 17. Maybe you want to argue top 5, whatever. Still, top 5 fucking unit. Pretty fucking good value. Then you have Hit, who I think does argue a top 10 spot. I think you have to run him situation of either leader slot on a PO setup with, like, Zamasu and Rose, and that's kind of like his best home for, like, an overall team synergy, not just himself carrying everything. Could throw him on the leader slot of hybrids with, like, you know, Pan and Puddle. Then he would obviously stomp there, because all that support is just giga buffed for him, because he just pops off, and this unit can murder blues without even fucking thinking about it. Like, really, he needs a new video at that rate. But then you kind of keep going, and it's like, well, yes, we do like uni-reps. Yes, the new tag is uni-reps. We understand that. Goku doesn't really matter. Like, again, you have 17 who dropped, so you expect the unit after to be a lot better, if not arguably in the same position, if not a little bit worse. You know, this VT to, like, Zamasu syndrome really wasn't that, like, they were far off, but they weren't, like, the worst thing in the world compared to one another. Goku to 17 is very far of a differential. You know, the 4s to GT 17 weren't that far of a differential. Pan to Beast weren't that far of a differential. But then you have Goku to Roshi, and even Goku to 17, and I don't know if these premium banners are worth it. And even so, we're basically losing all-stars, and, you know, this unit was an all-star unit, this unit was an all-star unit. I mean, I don't particularly think they're great. I don't think any all-star unit particularly had a significant impact that was, like, well beyond belief. That was like, oh my god, I need this guy. If I don't have him, I can't win the game. Like, AGF probably had, like, a very good impact, which was arguably a top-tier impact, but, like, it wasn't like, you need him or you can't win type shit. Like, UGB is a more, you need him to exist in a high-ranking setting. If you don't have him, you are at a much bigger deficit than that. So, again, there's argument for sake of, hey, these banners are good, right? You have the situation of, look, this LF returned, this LF could plat equip because of this, you know, look at these units on the banner, they actually could have some value in the future, right? I don't know how you check this shit. Like, Jiren returned, his value's still okay enough. It's not great, it obviously went down because better blast-based units came out, but, like, it's okay. MUI could get his plat soon, he didn't, but, like, he could have. GV, fodder, you know, all these other units fodder, but it's an arguable value, which, I don't know, man. Like, I pulled a Whis from here. Whis, I kind of, you know, want him because it's not 14 stars, but it's also like, do I really even care for this unit? And what I'm more getting at, and the whole idea, besides this, like, breakdown of just what units are coming out, is that, is this good? Like, really, I don't know the answer. And I think there's two sides of the argument. One for a good, one for a bad. Now, obviously, one for the good being that LF banners have the highest value. They do. This only contends the LF banner aspect of the argument, not the Ultras. The Ultras have a terrible argument for them, but I think it is a culpable argument. The LF banners do have good value. You know, you look at this banner, you see Jiren, who's like, I don't know, 20, 25 right now. You see Roshi, who's like minimum top 10. You see Goku, who's like top 15, top 20. Maybe you want to argue top 10, great. But I don't think he is. Top 15, let's just say that for the sake of it, so we just have, you know, argument's sake of just equivalency, right? And then you look at the other units, and it's like, those aren't the greatest, but, like, the value's still there for, like, 3 units. You know, you look at All-Star banner, these units might just be, like, some tier 1 mediocre stuff. I mean, EGF, Revza being, like, exceptions, but though that was with, like, a bunch of LOE buffs anyways. You didn't even, like, you didn't need them, but you wanted them, right? They were just, like, supplementations to, like, a very top-tier team. They weren't full necessities. I think you could run different LOE units and still be fine at that point. Obviously, they'd be worse, but, like, you could run different LOE units. And I think the argument for LF banners being as consistent as they are, as Ultra banners being as consistent as they are, more LF banners though, is that the unit value does overall garner more value for everything, especially when you look at the exchange shop. Obviously, All-Star banners do not have this. You do get LFZ power that you can buy. You do have, again, the tickets to get some other, you know, 1% you might not own. If they retain the capacity of, okay, always a 1% and then minimum 1 EX with the LF banner, I would understand this being a better frequency than All-Star banners. But right now, it's tough. Because again, I just look at the value-wise of the individual unit of, like, the big units, right? 17 came out with nobody. He came out with fucking EX18, right? So I think it's only celebration-wise. And if we're only doing 1% units for celebrations, that only means Legends Fest, Annie, and then this. That's all we're getting 1% unit-wise, and that would be 2, 3, 4, that would be 5 1% units that we get. That's it, because we get the Ultra at the end, obviously. This will be the Ultra at the end with Battle Hour. This being the 1% unit of Roshi. With Festival, we got, you know, GT17, we got Zamasu, then we got the Ultra at the end. Then with the Anniversary, it'll be the same thing. We get, you know, Part 1, which was, you know, the Tapion, then we get, or rather Vegeta, and then we got Tapion, then we got the Ultra at the end. So only to get 5 1% units, obviously that's me pre-thinking of it without knowing what they actually will do. I think if they just retained this 1% unit with an LF every single time, we've had this, that's the thing. We've had this where it's not celebrations, and we get a 1% unit, we get an LF. I think maybe we got an EX or 2. Sometimes we didn't get an EX, but, like, sometimes we did, right? Kid Buu banner. We got, what was it? I think we got Kid Buu, then Halo. Puddle banner. We got Puddle, and then we got Green 21. Obviously, the value differential in these units is vastly, like, far fucking apart, but at least we had that systematic situation for ourselves. And I think it actually can argue LF banners being better than, and just making outright that Ultra banners and LF banners just say this consistent thing of, like, LF Ultra, LF Ultra, LF Ultra, just back to back, no in between, no filler bullshit. We just got everything going at fucking full speed ahead. I think if you always include a 1%, not really the whole value of them being higher than the LF. I don't need that. I don't need Roshi to be better than UI. I don't need Zamasu to be better than VT. I don't need that. I need the LF to be better than the fucking 1% because I feel like the premium unit should just be far surpassing the other. Like, it just doesn't make sense to have the 1% be better. It's premium. It's more premium. You should make it better. It's just, I know it's scummy. I know it's, but that's literally what a company is. It's the definition of scum, right? And then Ultra banners. This is hard to argue. I'm just looking at the USG one because it's up right now. Obviously, there's not the UGB one. This is harder to argue for a good side, but there is an argument. Ultra banners have impact. Ultra units, rather. The main Ultra has a very good situation for themselves on their impact. USG, he was good for a year straight. You had USV, who was good for a couple months straight. You have Broly, he maybe wasn't the best aging guy, I will admit that, but he did do well for a few situations that he was allowed to be in for the couple months that he was there. And then, even more so than that, you have Hit, who's honestly slept on right now. He's probably the least summoned for Ultra at this rate. Yet he still did his job well. I feel like I'm missing an Ultra. I don't know who the hell it is. Hold on one second. Hold on. Who am I missing that I didn't mention right there? I know there's an Ultra I'm missing. Yeah, UBK. UBK, though I will say he had the shortest lifespan of being like a top tier unit. UBK was still good while on boost. Obviously, him being the worst of the bunch here, that is a Ultra unit. Again, the argument's harder to make for Ultras being a good, consistent thing every fucking month. They literally said that Ultras take 3 months to make, so having Hit come out, 2 months after UGB, or 1 month, whatever, 1.5 months I think it was, after UGB is very, like, what the fuck is going on type shit, and then Battle Hour releasing UBK last year, alluding to another Ultra being happening this year, with us getting different tag buffs, meaning it would probably go more toward this Vegeta Clan or Future vibe, being like a Merge Masu or Rose, and I'll make a whole video on my theories on that another day, but I think for the most part, Ultras retain their own value enough to be culpable. Like, if you ran USG today, you're not really, like, losing out on much. You ran USV today, you're not maybe gaining the most as, like, a USG would, but, like, you're still doing fine. You ran Broly today, he's still fine. You run Hit today, he's gonna fucking murder people. You run UBK, definitely are holding back a little bit on your team. I will say Unireps is still solid, and he is a solid secondary option to Roshi. If you don't have a yellow, that is Roshi. But he definitely is a holdback. And then UGB obviously being the guy right now, I think to say that, of these 6 Ultras that are summonable here, 5 of them being competent enough to run right now, I wouldn't say great for, 3 of them, but I would say competent enough to right now. You could argue UBK, honestly. I think it retains the value. Now, I will say the banner for Ultras is complete shit. I don't think this will ever change. I don't see a need for them to change this because people will summon for the big Ultra. They do not care about the side units. They do not care if they pull shit-ass G4, shitty GB, shitty UI, shitty fucking CMZ. People will summon on this banner, people will summon on USV, people will summon on Broly, people will summon on all these return banners, whatever. What I hope is one thing gets implemented, and I could really argue Ultra Banner is actually worth it. I'm arguing it now for, like, the sake of argument's sake, because I do think it is somewhat arguable, is that there's some amount of pity. I'm not saying something cheap. I'm not thinking like, okay, the same pity as the UI banner should exist as the Ultra banner. No, Ultras are more premium, so it should be more CC. I get that. I understand that. I understand the business aspect of that. So if Goku is 50 coins for 1 copy, by the way, Roshi should not be the same amount. He should be like 20 coins, by the way. Just to point out, Roshi should be a lot less. He is not as premium, so he should be less. He's harder. He's easier to pull, so he should be easier to get. Simple math. USG, I would want him to be a 80 coin unit for 2000 Z power. I don't think they'll ever change 2000 Z power. I don't think they'll ever give us Ultra Z power. I don't think we'll ever even be able to buy Ultra Z power unless it's 2000 only. Because obviously they like to get this 5 pulls, then you're fucking out, mentality going. But I would like to see that where it is 80 coins. And I know that's a lot for a banner. I know it's a lot to go deep, 80 fucking coins deep onto a banner. But I do think the premiumness of Ultras, how good they actually, well, animation-wise, intro-wise, minimum look. Obviously, some of them do lack in-game animations. Yes, that's a problem. But the premiumness of their rarity, of their animation style, in their, unique arts and all these things, and how they have aged, more or less to a good extent, more than a bad extent. I think if they just add pity to Ultras, keep the shitty LFs, fine. You know what? Do it. it's a problem. There's not going to be a fix to every problem, right? I mean, there's not going to be a solution that they would agree on to every problem, right? They're not going to just, yeah, let's slap on fucking Jiren, LFZ trunks and cooler on the fucking USG banner. Like, they could, but they won't. There's no necessity for that. They make their bank for their buck because people will summon on this regardless, because the Ultra is very hype. You already had the hype factor driving it. I think from there, if you just give a pity, Ultra banners more seem worth it to players. And honestly, you could probably vouch an Ultra banner if the unit is just, like, if we knew UGB would be as good as he is, I probably would have vouched just summoning for him. It's just been like, skip part 1, skip part 2. This is fucking movies. You got Beast in the Pan. Just fucking summon for UGB. Obviously, you couldn't vouch it back then because you didn't know, like, how UGB would age, how he'd be in game on day 1, day 2, day fucking 10, day fucking 20. And now that we know now, it's like, well, I could fucking vouch someone summoning for UGB back then and be like, holy shit, what a fucking genius. You skipped part 1, part 2. You didn't fucking need those units. You didn't need them at all. You know, GT's fallen down a little bit. Future definitely has gotten a situation where they're better off with these new equipments and this new unit and all these helpful things that have gotten happening, but they're still worse than movies. Like, movies is still the better of those 3 teams at this rate. After an aging concept of a couple months, UGB was very much more worth summoning for when you actually factor in everything that ended up happening. And if there was just some pity, I could be like, you know what, day 1, just go. Just go. You look at the allies on this team can't be bad. Even this unit's not the greatest, and number 1, this unit can't be bad. And I hope that ends up happening in some essence of it. And obviously, the counter-argument, the bad argument, is that the banners aren't necessarily ideal. The thing is, neither are All-Stars. You looked at All-Stars. Did you even summon? I know content creators, the people that mained that tag, like Red Boo on people summon for. You know why? Because they main regen, because regen gets no buffs. That's not an actual good reasoning. It's not because this unit's great. Oh my god, he's going to be so good for my team. No, it's because my team doesn't get buffs. That's why I'm going to summon for the unit. That's not actually good reasoning. It's like, for Roshi, why are you going to summon? Okay, well, he can do really good blast. He can get the Mafuba. He has a really good green card, like LF First Form Frieza. His blue card's pretty solid in output, like good Z ability for more or less the sake of it. I like the unit in general. Like, there's a couple reasons there, right? Red Buon was, oh my god, a regen unit for once in 50 years. You know that's not a real argument. You know that's not like anything. You're not reading his kit and being like, yep, those stats are really fucking good when he has EX level stats. Like, it's the same thing as like Tien being the rush counter. Tien had no situation of being that counterplay unit. So you might say, banner value-wise, it's not worth it for LFs and Ultras to exist as common places. But the thing is, no banner really has that amazing value. Like, Festival banner did, and that was LF banners. And even so, once again, UGB being the best aging unit from Festival so far, he's the best one you should have summoned for. At this rate, if we think back, and we go back and we're like, huh, what actually was worth summoning? Maybe for a copy of Zamasu, star him up, then UGB. And then that's it! Literally, that's it! You could cope the Force. UGB's purple. Zamasu's blue. You see the problem? You did not need to summon for a lot of these units, yet the Ultra was the one that was like the standout that you should have summoned for when you go back in time in your fucking head and you're like, wow. Damn it, I didn't pull for UGB. Why the fuck did I summon for the 4s? And that's just the thing that exists, and it's like... that's why I feel having this monthly LF to Ultra that we're going to keep retaining, it seems, for the next year, if not further than that, I don't think it's the worst thing. I think it could be problematic if they don't always include a 1%, like they have in the past with Puddle and Kid Buu and whoever else they did it with in the past. I'm sure it was more, but those are 2 that stand out to me because they're 1% units, and or the LF was very good in aging. Halo Vegeta, Puddle obviously being the best, fucking aging unit in the game right now. If they just retain that, just keep 1%, make the 1% a little bit cheaper. Like, it's really not even hard to do. It's the easiest concepts. It's concepts that are even, like, smart. Like, the 1% unit's less premium. You make them cheaper, okay? People are happy. You could get the 1% unit easier. Make them 20 coins, 30 coins. Less than fucking 30 minimum, or 31, I guess you could say. And then keep Goku at 50, fine. Let him be there. It's fine, he's premium, I get it. You guys want me to fucking buy him. I won't, but, like, you want me to buy him, I get it. Same thing here. 80 coins, 70 I guess if you want to like undertune, but it's a fucking new rarity. Like, it's still a new rarity. It's only a barely over a handful of cards at this rate, and it's like you gotta respect the idea of that. Their concept of it, they're like their candor toward Ultras is very high. They very much have this perception of like, this is it. This is the rarity you want. Look at how they've done them to where they've done so well in like their money sense, or like how they just do such dominance on their frame 1, day 1 type of bullshit. With the majority of Ultras, Broly being an exception, but you know, Broly was a high star exception. If at fucking high stars, Broly was doing the same frame 1 bullshit as USV. It's just no one fucking had him high stars, right? I mean, I did, but like, still, most people didn't. And having a high star issue, I think that's just a thing we have to accept at this rate. It's how the game is. Obviously, at lower ranks, you don't need these stars, but at higher ranks, you do want to compete. It's just going to be how it is. But I do think this is actually not the worst. I prefer this than anything like we've had in the past, right? I prefer to summon for, you know, LF UI Omen and then maybe have a chance to pull this 1% from like 8 months ago or 6 months ago or 4 months ago. I prefer that and have a 1% on the banner with them. Again, always having this 1% on the banner with the unit is obviously in the fucking charts, but I don't even think that's that hard to do. Like, realistically, is it really that hard to do to have a 1% every month? We've had it in the past. They just retain that, give Ultras a pity system that's not even that great. 80 is not good, but like, it's something that exists, and it's something more than nothing. That's all I can ask for. Again, you have to understand a company standpoint. They're not going to help you try to get these units. They will incentivize you to keep going by giving you pity, but that's all. It's meant to be an incentive to keep going, not to actually help you get the unit. That's why Roshi costs so much. Lowering Roshi's costs, though, just makes literal business sense because he's a 1%. This is a not 1%. One's got to be easier to get than the other, right? It's just kind of how the common sense works. Also, Sparking Z-Power should be in the shop as well because, well, there's a 1%. That's new, so gotta fix that. But that's it. Really not much changes. I do think this format's actually the better format we've had for the last couple of years here. And I know it's very premium, it's very tough to do. I will say, you do not need to summon for every unit. This banner being a pretty exceptional skip for a lot of players, do you really need Roshi right now? I don't think so. I mean, he's fine to run, he's good to run. Yeah, do you really need Goku right now? Yeah, with being UGB food and then just food for all these characters that, I mean, are blue and just so fucking dominant. Goku really doesn't have a standstill in this meta that can, like, oppress them. You don't really need to summon for this. I would say 17 was very much more for summon, with like androids getting their goodness and androids actually being a slept on team with Red 21 and then the GT 17 and LF 17, right? Then uni reps, and then you could leader them with like blue purple. Like, he had a couple team factors. Rev UI is uni reps or bro is fucking sold out the window. Roshi, uni reps are sold out the window. If you don't main these two teams, or this team rather, you don't have to summon. And I think that's actually fine. Again, I'd rather Goku not be worse than 17, but the fact that he is, and the fact that Roshi also is, I think it's actually fine for right now, because you don't have to summon on every banner, and I think that's actually a good system for them to not make every banner have to be summonable, maybe make the hype character a little bit better, but like, not making every banner most summon is a positive more than negative. But let me know what you guys think of this. I don't even know why I titled this. Yeah, I have no idea. But I just thought this would be interesting. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys in the next one.